For the past half year, I've been working on Map Engine, a map animation script for DaVinci Resolve and Fusion Studio. The script is supposed to make animating maps faster, cleaner, and more seamless. It supports multiple map styles, country outlines, and other shapes, and comes with handy tools to connect graphics, add text, and anchor 3D objects. In this video, I want to show you how Map Engine works under the hood and how you can utilize the tools. Let's get right into it. The first thing to do is grab a Fusion composition and hit Shift 5 to go inside Fusion. Go up to Workspace, Scripts, and select Map Engine. After Map Engine verified the license, you are prompted to select a resolution. The resolution it automatically selects is the timeline resolution of your active project. So 1080p is completely fine for me. Then a new window appears. This is your map style selector, and this is also where you manage map styles. For example, these are the 4 map styles Map Engine comes with. They are open APIs and for reference only because the tiles themselves are very low resolution, which means you need a lot of tiles to fill the resolution. My recommendation is to go to Mapbox or any other map service and create a free account to use a custom style like this one. Map Engine then builds this custom Fusion node tree. This area right here is where all the map tiles are managed. You only have to focus on this work area. CompCon is arguably the most important node because this is where you control the camera and animation. And then you have these different anchors. For now, the first thing we need to do is put media out in the viewer and the base map has been loaded in. This is pretty cool, I would say, but not really that special at the moment because this is just a map. Let's select CompCon to just have it in the inspector and add keyframes at this position. And automatically all keyframes have been set from the Map Engine UI. This is Map Engine. It's a very small UI, but it's very mighty and powerful. And it's small on purpose because this way you can just tuck it in right here where it doesn't really interfere with the rest of the interface. We are on frame 92. Let's move ahead a bit to 200 or something like that and move to Berlin. This search uses OpenStreetMap, which means you can search for any city, street, country or place and it will probably find it. Let's load high resolution tiles. This is much better. And now let's label this location with the text label. Well, text is not quite the place, so let's change this to Berlin. This is basically what these anchors are for. Nodes that are created within Map Engine will search their right anchor and connect to that. Berlin is fine, but remember we started right out here. So what could we do? There's still 2 options left. Let's create a parallax text. The text is at half the distance from the camera to the world, which means you get parallax. And that is a really, really cool effect and it's really fun. And something else you can see is that the animation is not necessarily that nice. So to fix that, to fix the animation curve, there's another tool built in. These curves are not nicely eased. So let's click Smooth Animation and voila! You have a very nice and eased smooth animation. Let's say in Berlin I want to add this fingerprint animation right here. Nothing special, it's just for an example. One issue, the animation plays here in the beginning, but Berlin is more around here. So let's first select the node and then hit this button. This is selected node to view. Bam. Now it's pinned onto Berlin and it will stay there forever. Okay, first of all, the black doesn't suit it well. Second of all, we need to retime it, so it should start at frame 200. Let's trim off the end and hold the first frame for 200 frames. So now it should start around here. Maybe we can let it start a bit earlier. And let's hold the last frame for an eternity longer. Okay. Now it starts too early. Yeah, something like that. Okay. It's got a black background, so let's get rid of that too. with media in selected, shift spacebar and add luma here. Let's make it a bit clearer. Yeah, something about here. Not quite. Yeah, something like that. This is what we have created so far. From the world to Berlin, and we have this animation pinned. Select the image plane, go to transform, and let's just move it around a bit more. And scale it down. This is the very basics. Now let's spice it up a bit. Around the beginning, let's go to Sydney. Or maybe not Sydney, but Australia. This is a bit too tight. That's where you can manually go in and change the Z value. These are not yet optimal. These go to the thousands, but this is what works at the moment. So let's change this to 5,000 units. That's more like it. And now I don't really like that it's just this, the basic map style. Let's add a custom country outline. For this, click Load in Features with GeoJSON. Let's open it. Let's again search for Australia. This is a multi-polygon because there's islands that are not connected to the main shape, but that's not a problem. And a quirk for Fusion. Click on the point where you want these new nodes to appear. And now let's draw Australia. And now we have Australia drawn in, and it will stick to this exact position even when we have the camera moving. But right isn't really that nice, and also I would like to have a country outline. These are just shape nodes, so let's search for S outline. Boom, that's the outline. Okay, also the color, is a bit boring. Let's change this to something orangey. Yeah, around there. Also, I would really like a glow. So let's grab all these, move them down a bit, and add soft glow is my favorite. It's a bit intense right now. Let's reduce the gain and move up the threshold a bit. Well, I'm not really good at designing, so that's where you will have to jump in for me when you eventually get Map Engine yourself. I kind of want some 3D object right there. Something like this. Really, really not beautiful, but I just want to have that right there. Okay, so that's where Create Merge 3D at View comes in. For those that are familiar with After Effects, this is kind of a null that will be created at the exact center of the current view. The shape 3D is now connected to the center of the view. I think it's a lot too small and not really that visible. Let's make it something that will pop out like this ugly pink and scale it up immensely. Yep, there it is. 10 units is still too small. Let's set it to 500. Well, that's a bit too big now. And let's twist and turn it. Give it some rotation. Ah, yes. Whoop. Okay, lighting is something I would also like. So why don't we do that? First, connect the lighting to the Merge 3D. Activate Pass-Through Lights. Jump right into the 3D room. And here you can see it's a massive 3D room, but so light has been created. Move it up a bit. Actually, there's a better 3D room. It's called Base Merge 3D. This is not really used, but it is really useful to actually see what you are doing. Now let's activate lights. Okay, the map will turn completely dark because the map is not in the Merge 3D, so that's fine. But you can see what the light is doing right here. I will move the shape out by like a bit, and I also want to have a shadow catcher material because when I split the view again, make base merge 1 and media out 2, it doesn't really have shadows at all at the moment. First of all, let's activate shadows right here in the anchor renderer. Activate lighting and shadows. Okay, we are getting there. And now let's add a shadow catcher material. And this is also just as simple as dragging in another shape 3D, connecting it to the merge we created at view. And now let's also make this enormous, like 1,000 units. Yep, we can see it working and it's still too small. 2,000 units. A lot better. 5,000 units. Cool, now it covered up the entire space. We have a shadow catching material, but no map. To get rid of this white plane, we just have to go into the merge node and change the apply mode to multiply. Boop. And that's how you get 3D objects right into Fusion. This is not 100% correct. As you can see right here, the cube is also multiplied over the image, but it's good enough for now. Also, I want to landmark this feature right here using a scaling text. And that's the third and last kind of text you can get. And it's, let's say, awesome cube. Wow. Let's move it to 5,900 units. And the kicker is this text scales with the whole composition. It doesn't really look that good right now, so let's also fade this text out. For that, go to shading, and opacity, well, simply does what it's supposed to do. Set an end keyframe here and go to the start where you want to begin fading it out. Start keyframe here, and now let's go to the end and set it to 0. Now it will scale and fade away until world appears. Let's do one final thing with Berlin right here. And this is a feature I'm currently testing. It's not implemented fully yet. With F colon and then church, for example, and then hitting go, it will search for churches using OpenStreetMap, and it found a lot of them. Select all of them and draw them out. This will take a good moment. You can see all these little tiny, these points right here. Those are the churches we drew. Let's get a better look at this. Oh, it's laggy. Yep, that's over 430 nodes, I think, being drawn out. So it is gonna lag quite a bit. Let's take another look at this in the 3D viewer. That is all the churches we just drew out. Let's change this feature material to something we can see. This red, yep, okay, or this deep blue. Now we have all these spots drawn out, and this is where they come from. Fusion is getting really laggy, but it's not done yet, unfortunately. We will have to bake the animation because there's a lot of missing tiles. It's not at the correct resolution yet. So for that, the very last step is baking the animation. Let's do that. The script now goes through every single frame and looks what tiles are needed to satisfy the resolution of your composition. So this can take a while. It is quite laggy. My system does not like it. I have a MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro. That's not the problem. The problem is 16 gigabytes of RAM. 16 gigabytes of RAM will work, just not that well. So be warned. Okay, but it seemed to have worked, and it seems to be working, to be exact. So it's processing the tile, and now it's really, really fast because I have already downloaded parts of the tile set needed. I think we are ready here, so let's close Map Engine and hop back to the editing page. This is what the finished animation looks like. It's not really that good of an animation, but I think it really shows you what Map Engine will be capable of once you can buy it. I really hope you liked this update on Map Engine. Follow along if you want to see further updates. Have a good day and goodbye.